Let's talk about this Nintendo Direct, shall we?
JT.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Nintendo recently held a Nintendo Direct mini presentation for January 2018, discussing a lot of the upcoming games and things going on with the Switch in the near future. But I wanted to talk about why the hype was way out of control for this, and how it didn't meet any of the expectations I had for it, and how they could have done it better. First off, this thing was a port fest. Nearly every game they talked about has already come out on a previous system, which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. The problem I had with the Nintendo Direct Mini was the expectations leading up to it, in part created by Nintendo themselves on Twitter, posting pictures and having people wonder what's going on without any kind of conversation, made the hype train go completely out of control for this thing. And what it ended up being was just a, hey, here's what we're working on, hope you like it, until we actually get to the real meat and gravy of what we're doing this year. Instead of calling it the Nintendo Direct Mini, they should have gone with something like the Nintendo Port, or porting Nintendo games, or something with the name so that people understood this was specifically going to be for games ported from other systems to the Nintendo Switch. That way it would have kept every expectation in check. Obviously it wouldn't have hit the marks a lot of people were expecting. I mean, for me personally, looking for Mario 3D World and Smash Brothers and Mario Maker, none of those were talked about in this. But at least it would have set some grounds for, here's what we're doing in this episode of Nintendo Direct, and here's what you can expect in the near future. Because they didn't do that, my expectations weren't met. A lot of people online, I was on Twitter right afterwards, extremely frustrated with how it went down, and a lot of people were talking about how this is a terrible thing and Nintendo shouldn't be doing this, and people were blowing it way out of proportion. If Nintendo set the expectations at the start that this was just going to be for ports, I think it would have gone a lot better. And a lot of you might be saying, well, yeah, but they did announce a couple of new games in that as well. Why bother? I feel like those were so minuscule in the grand scheme of what was discussed in this presentation that they should have just focused on the ports and the add-on DLC for the games. Things that already exist, or things that are coming to games that already exist. Adding games into it that are new kind of confused the issue and made people think that there should have been new things coming on that were bigger than what they actually announced. Personally, I don't have a problem with these ports coming to the Switch. I think it's a great thing. I don't want people to misconstrue what I was saying on Twitter about how I was frustrated with how this Nintendo Direct went down. I just wish that the expectations were kept in check. And because there were so many incredible games on the Wii U that we know are going to get ports or deluxe editions or special editions from the Wii U to the Switch, Nintendo should set aside a special segment just for ports. Going forward, I feel like that would set the expectations at a much better level and keep a lot of the haters at bay. As for new games that they announced, like the Kirby game and the Mario Tennis game, I would personally have set those aside just a little bit, like a couple of weeks, and waited until you had a few more games to talk about, and then make that the Direct. I feel like having separate segments for the Directs would make it a lot easier on the consumers to understand what's coming down the pipe and how it's going to be presented to us. That way it would minimize confusion, frustration, anger, it would set expectations in line, and people would understand what they'd be getting themselves into when they get ready for these presentations. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like I was overreacting on Twitter initially because my expectations were way out of whack with what was actually presented in this Direct. And I'm absolutely sure I'm not alone on that. I've come down to earth a little bit since then and look at it and say, it's not that bad. I mean, Mario Tennis looked pretty good with the RPG elements. I was kind of wishing for like a Mario Golf because I absolutely love that series, but I'm okay with switching it up with Mario Tennis, especially if there's going to be those RPG elements. But I didn't really feel that when I first watched it. Initially I was watching it saying, the hell? Where's Earthbound? Where's the Virtual Console? What's going on with the internet and Nintendo's online features? What's going on with everything? Can you tell us something that people care about? Is there going to be a system update? When are we getting Netflix? When are we getting anything that everybody is asking for? This Nintendo Direct Mini did nothing to answer any of those questions and completely confused the issue even further, in my opinion. I don't know when we're going to hear anything about anything now, because we waited what felt like forever for this presentation, and all it was here's a bunch of ports and a couple of new games that are kind of small, but hopefully you guys like them. Those were my initial impressions from this Nintendo Direct, and I feel like I said, if they make something called the Nintendo Port and just focus specifically on the ports, people could get excited about the ports that are coming that they missed from the Wii U, from the 3DS, from any Nintendo systems that will be coming as a cartridge or DLC or downloads on the Nintendo Switch itself, just so people understand what they'll be getting when they watch the presentation. Because as it stands right now, the whole thing is confusing as hell, and maybe I'm overreacting. Okay, I'm definitely overreacting. But I feel like Nintendo could go a better direction with this going forward. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the issue. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about the Nintendo Direct Mini, and if you feel like it was totally fine and that I'm completely overreacting, or if you think it's a good idea if they separate the ports on the Nintendo Direct into their own presentation so that people know what they're getting themselves into. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.